Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name, of course, is Oba the Potato, and 2024 is over. That means it's a great opportunity to go over some of the best games that I have played on the channel over the course of the year. Now, today is all about Tycoon games, and boy oh boy, I love me some Tycoon games. However, if you're not interested in Tycoon games, or if you're interested in checking out any of the other sort of best games of 2024 videos that I have made, just cast your eyes down to the description of this video. If you're watching this on Christmas Day, when the video releases, then let me just convey a very Merry Christmas to you and yours, and best wishes for the new year. Now, let's get into the Tycoon games. It has been a really strong year for Tycoon games, exemplified, I think, by this game, Puffin Planes. This is a minimalist airline tycoon management style game where you have to run your own airline and upgrade everything, including the planes, routes, hubs and airports that you can operate from. You know, upgrade the airport to reduce landing fees, unlock more airports, unlock longer range airlines. There's so much to unlock, and there's so much fun to be had, effectively competing against a whole bunch of opposing airlines. It's a really sort of strong Tycoon entry, and it manages to pull it all off in a very minimalist package, which is even more impressive. You can play in single player and in multiplayer. It's surprisingly good fun, and I very much enjoyed my time with it. It's currently sitting at a whopping 94% positive reviews on Steam. It's still getting updates after release and is looking good. You can check it out and every other game that I talk about in the description below. In terms of pure polish, I think News Tower has to be the best Tycoon game that has released this year. And I can't believe that this game actually released this year, because it feels like it was released a heck of a lot longer ago. Maybe it's just been a long year. Anyway, News Tower is a newspaper tycoon game where you have to run all aspects of your publishing operation after your uncle was killed in mysterious circumstances. It's got this sort of great cartoony minimalist art style, looks kind of newspapery, like a glossy sort of magazine. I really enjoyed the mechanics of printing the newspaper each week because you've got a deadline to meet. You also have to sort of send reporters all over the city to cover key stories that you can later publish in your newspaper, and you need to sort of design the layout of your newspaper in order to ensure that you're getting the most eyeballs on the news. It's a really great game, and it's reflected by the fact that it is overwhelmingly positive on Steam with like 1,800 reviews, which is just crazy. News Tower is probably, I think I'm going to say it, probably my favorite Tycoon game of 2024. I would highly recommend having a look at it if you have not played it already. It is so good. Portobugia is a real sort of combo of genres. It's basically a port builder where you have to build up a port, but you also have to supply all of the resources that the city next to you needs to survive, which means you need to constantly be bringing in food, and you need to be bringing in materials. You can also upgrade your facilities. You can diversify your profit-making ventures by building the facilities that are needed to fix boats. And oh yeah, you have to do all of this and make sure that you don't actually import any goods that are infected with bugs. This is a really sort of indie tycoon game, but it really manages to be a very strong entry on this list. It was in early access for a while, and it released into 1.0 in August of 2024. It's a really great indie tycoon game. Bear with me on this one, folks, because this game sounds like a joke, but it's actually really good. This is City Bus Manager, and you do exactly what the game says on the tin. It's pretty simple. You manage a bus network, you buy new buses, you expand your depot, you make money, you set up bus routes, you run intercity services or neighborhood shuttle buses. You do everything that would kind of be required of you in order to run a bus company. And you know what? It's a really good game. There's also a whole bunch of DLC that you can get into, adding a load of content, but you can play the base game. I mean, check out the base game if you're interested in the title. You don't need any of the DLC in order to make it work. It's a solid tycoon game, and you manage a bus network, which is weird but cool. I dig this one. Planet Coaster 2 is the sequel to Planet Coaster and is all about building a theme park, making money, and making sure that your guests have a grand old time riding roller coasters and swimming in pools and stuff like that. Yeah, this game had a little bit of a rocky launch. It is currently fully released, and it's currently on mixed reviews. That being said, do I think it's going to get better? Do I think it's going to be improved over the course of time? Yes, I do. Do I think that you're going to need to buy a copious amount of DLC in order to make it the sort of full fleshed out experience? I also probably do think that. If you have a very high tolerance for buying DLC, then yeah, give this one a look. If you don't, then maybe give Planet Coaster 2 a miss. I mean, look, it's a decent, really enjoyable Tycoon game. I absolutely love building sort of theme parks. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon. What can I say? I'm a sucker for it, and I'll play anything that allows me to build up a theme park. It's just Planet Coaster 2 has got those sort of specific caveats. Check it out if you're interested. Give it a miss if you're not. Dungeon Inn is a bit more of a sort of casual Tycoon management style game. The premise is an interesting one. You have to manage an inn, but it is sort of trapped between two different cities, and the people of these cities absolutely despise each other, and therefore you have to ensure that the travelers that are coming from these two cities never actually meet each other. Yeah, I mean, Tycoon-y, definitely sort of like a few upgrade elements, but it is a very casual game. But that does not stop me from absolutely loving it. It's a great little game. It's a super sort of appealing visual story, and I really like it. It's maybe a little bit too casual for you if you're interested in sort of more sort of hardcore Tycoon games, but it's a really, really decent game in and of itself. Dungeon Tycoon is another game with dungeon in the name. This is a game where you have to run a dungeon and attract thrill-seeking adventurers. This means you have to place mobs for your adventurers to fight and destroy, and you have to give them the opportunity to purchase health kits and health upgrades so that they can keep adventuring, and also, you know, you can make money because you're selling these adventurers entry to get into the dungeon, you're selling them potions, the whole shebang. This is a great game with loads of stuff to unlock. There's loads of creatures to add, loads of rooms to build, so you can turn your dungeon into the finest place to adventure in all the realm. Yeah, Dungeon Tycoon released in September. It is mostly positive on Steam. 78% of reviews rating it positively, and yeah, I'm definitely one of those. It's an excellent little Tycoon game. Dustland Delivery is a post-apocalyptic business simulator. Effectively, you have to drive a truck around the wasteland, you have to buy and sell products in different towns, you know, buy low, sell high, move the products around, upgrade your truck as you go, sort of get trapped and involved in the story. You know, you need to hire crew, buy bits and bobs to fix your truck, buy food, hire people, chat to people in pubs. It's kind of a, you know, it's a Tycoon game crossed with an RPG set in the sort of desert, and it is absolutely astounding because this one kind of came out of nowhere and I think flew under the radar of a lot of people. It's a real sleeper hit. The learning curve is quite steep, but once you get into it, it really is excellent. It's got a totally sort of retro feel, and it's definitely one to check out if you're interested in more sort of complex business Tycoon games. This one released into 1.0 in November of 2024 and currently rated very positive on Steam. 88% of about 700 reviews are positive, which is pretty good. And two entries rounding out our list here. The first is Industry Giant 4.0. My opinions are complex when it comes to Industry Giant. I think the game has a lot of potential. I think it's, you know, it's got a good opportunity to be great. It's currently in early access, but it does need a fair amount of work. And that is sort of reflected in the fact that it has mixed reviews on Steam at the moment. Now, I love, you know, building up industry, transporting industry from place to place, but it's just a little bit too buggy for me to sort of wholeheartedly recommend. It's great premise. I love it, but I really want to sort of see it improve. So, be warned, check this one out, but check it out with a giant sort of asterisk above its head. And another game that I would recommend, albeit sort of tacitly, Blockbuster Inc. This is a movie studio tycoon where you run and operate your own sort of Hollywood movie studio. You need to build stages, hire actors, and, build up every element of production. I don't think this game is going to give you hours and hours and hours of entertainment, and it's a little sort of steep for what you get in terms of being priced, but a deep sale discount if you're a fan of tycoon games, specifically, stuff like the movies, then, I think you could do a lot worse than this. That being said, it's not reviewed overly highly on Steam, but, I enjoyed my time with it. I thought it was a very serviceable tycoon game. So that is it for my sort of full-fledged list. Definitely sort of angling towards the first half of the list, a lot of really, really strong entries. Does sort of tail off towards the end. But that being said, I do think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential for greatness in games like Industry Giant 4. We just need to see it sort of developed and sort of progress throughout early access. Anyway, let's move on to the honorable mentions. So, 3 honorable mentions that I want to highlight. The first is Potion Tycoon. Potion Tycoon is a perfectly serviceable sort of potion shop management style game where you have a good time making potions, expanding your shop, and it hit 1.0 this year. It is a totally serviceable tycoon game, but there are better potion shop tycoon games out there, in my opinion. The Magical Mixture Mill, for example. So yeah, I think it's fine. If you're interested in potion shop tycoons, well, absolutely check this one out. But if you're not, maybe give it a miss and check out something else on this list. I am really sort of cheating this entry into this to this list, but it's because I love the game so much, and this is specifically a bit of DLC. Turmoil Deeper Underground. This is an oil mining tycoon. Turmoil, it looks particularly simple or surprisingly simple, but it's actually quite hard to master, and you're constantly sort of chasing a big jumbo score. Now, the Deeper Underground DLC is not particularly well reviewed for the DLC, hence why another reason why it's going into honorable mentions, but it did get me back into Turmoil, so maybe not necessarily a recommendation for the DLC, but maybe more of a recommendation just to check out Turmoil and check it out if you see it on sale, because it's a great game. It looks simple, but it's so much fun, and it's a couple of bucks as well. So you could go a lot more wrong than returning to Turmoil. And finally, we've got Space for Sale. Space for Sale is an interplanetary top-down space realty management game with a focus on problem-solving and exploration. It's kind of tycoony. It's kind of not tycoony. It's kind of based on sort of building up little sort of communities and buying homes for them and sort of upgrading the sort of central area that these weird and wacky alien creatures are going to live. It's currently in early access, and it's made by the developers of Little Big Workshop, which I really, really enjoyed. I think this game has a lot of potential as it sort of progresses through early access. One to watch for sure. So that's it for my list. What do you think? Please do let me know down in the comments below. I think it's been a great year for tycoon games. I really, really do. Now, obviously, there are a whole bunch of other sort of games that are tycoon-esque. Think, for example, Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. It involves a heck of a lot of tycoon elements, but I cover that in my sort of city builder list. So stay tuned for that, and, check out all of the other videos that I have done and will be releasing over the course of the festive period, linked down in the description below. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.